accused of shooting and killing a woman and her unborn child faced a judge today. The victim's family said that unborn baby was a little boy. Channel 2's Candace McCowan live now in Covington, where the judge, Candace, denied bond today for that suspect.
Yeah, and George, he will remain behind bars. That's the least of what this family wants of him. That's what they told me inside of this Covington funeral home today. They promised to fight for their sister and for that unborn baby boy.
She didn't know what school system, but I was trying to get her in Newton County where I was and in the school where I was.
That's the conversation Demecia Parks had on a continuous basis with her younger sister, Teonia Stokes. Set to graduate from Kennesaw State in May, Teonia was excited to teach.
She wanted to be an elementary school teacher. I know preferably second grade.
But the plans for a bright future stopped in its tracks Sunday. Teonia, just 23, was shot and killed in Monroe along GW Carver Drive Sunday morning. 7 months pregnant, her unborn baby boy also died.
And I just would have hugged her longer before walking out the door if I knew that was going to be my last time seeing her.
The suspect, Dorreous Brooks, is charged with killing Tionia and her unborn child. Tonia's boyfriend, Dorius was also shot. The family says she was an innocent bystander, caught in a feud.
I just know that my sister was innocent and she didn't deserve this.
Tionia was the mother of a 2-year-old little girl who family says doesn't understand her mother is now gone. But they understand the gravity of this loss, and they want justice.
Put them away. Kill them. Inject them. Therefore, death I say.
You don't know what you've done. Like, you've broken a family.
And no word on how that man who was shot, how he's doing. The family tells me that he was the father of that unborn baby. As for the suspect, he's due back in court in March. Live here in Covington, I'm Candace McCowan for Channel 2 Action.
On January 25, 2026, a young woman who was just days away from celebrating her 23rd birthday was shot and killed in her own home. But this wasn't just any victim. Teonia Stokes was 7 months pregnant, about to graduate college, and had her whole life ahead of her. The man accused of taking it all away? Someone who allegedly had nothing to do with her at all. But before we get into what happened that night in Monroe, Georgia, do me a favor. If you're interested in cases like this, cases where innocent lives are caught in senseless violence, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Midnight Crime and click that bell icon so you never miss an update on cases that need to be told. Because Teonia's story deserves to be heard. Let me tell you who Teonia Stokes really was, because she was so much more than just a headline. She was 22 years old, a senior at Kennesaw State University, and she was living her dream. Teonia was studying to become a teacher. Not just studying, actually. She was already student teaching, already in classrooms with kids, already making a difference. She was supposed to graduate in May 2026, just a few months away from walking across that stage with her diploma. And she wasn't doing this alone. Teonia was a mother to a beautiful 2-year-old daughter named Cambry. Anyone who knew her said she took so much pride in being a mom. She loved that little girl with everything she had. But here's the thing that makes this even more heartbreaking. Teonia was 7 months pregnant with a baby boy. She was due in April. She'd already picked out everything, already prepared to welcome her son into the world, already dreamed about the life they'd have together. Can you imagine? You're 22 years old. You're balancing being a mom, going to college full-time, student teaching, and preparing for another baby. That takes strength. That takes dedication. And Teonia was doing it all. She came from Social Circle, Georgia, a small tight-knit community where everybody knows everybody. Her family described her as someone who was deeply loved, someone who brought joy to everyone around her. She had siblings who adored her, parents who were proud of her, and a daughter who needed her. January 27th was supposed to be special. It was supposed to be Teonia's 23rd birthday. Instead of cake and candles and celebration, her family spent that day planning her funeral. Think about that for a second. The same day she should have been blowing out birthday candles, her loved ones were picking out a casket. But let's go back to what happened on January 25th, because that's when everything changed. Teonia was at a home on GW Carver Drive in Monroe, Georgia. She wasn't alone. Her boyfriend, Dorius was with her. Dorius was the father of her unborn baby boy. They were together in what should have been a safe space, just living their lives, probably talking about the future, about their son who would be arriving in just a few weeks. And then gunshots rang out. Now here's where this gets really important, so pay attention. According to Tionia's family, she wasn't the target. Let me say that again because it matters. Teonia Stokes was not supposed to die that night. She was what investigators call an innocent bystander. She was caught in the middle of something that had absolutely nothing to do with her. The family says there was some kind of feud going on. We don't know all the details yet because the case is still early in the court process, but what we do know is that someone showed up at that house on GW Carver Drive with a gun, and they started shooting. Dorreous Williams, Tionia's boyfriend, was shot too. The difference? He survived. He made it out alive. But Tionia and her unborn son didn't get that chance. Think about what that means for a second. You're 7 months pregnant, you're planning your future, you're excited about graduating college in a few months, and suddenly you're caught in violence that has nothing to do with you. You didn't start any beef with anyone. You weren't involved in whatever dispute was happening. You were just there, just existing. And it cost you everything. The Monroe Police Department responded to the scene, and what they found was devastating. A young woman, heavily pregnant, gone. Her baby gone with her. And another victim fighting for his life. Now police had to figure out who did this and why. 2 days later, on January 27th, the same day that should have been Tionia's birthday, police issued warrants for a man named Dorreous Brooks. He's 36 years old, so significantly older than Tionia. And the charges? Murder and feticide. Feticide is the killing of an unborn child, which means prosecutors are treating Tionia's baby boy as a separate victim. Because he was. He had a name picked out. He had a nursery waiting for him. He had a big sister who would have loved him. Law enforcement from multiple agencies started searching for Brooks. This wasn't just Monroe police anymore. We're talking about a multi-agency manhunt across different counties. They needed to find this man fast, and they did. Brooks was arrested in Barrow County, taken into custody, and now he's sitting in jail facing some of the most serious charges you can face in Georgia. Here's what happened next in court, and this is recent because remember, we're only talking about something that happened last month. Brooks went before a judge for a bail hearing. Now in cases like this, especially murder cases, sometimes defendants can post bail and wait for trial at home. But not this time.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on 11 Alive News and streaming on 11 Alive Plus. I'm Ron Jones.
And I'm Jennifer Bellamy. We begin tonight with breaking news. Just hours ago, authorities arresting the man accused of killing a pregnant woman in Monroe. Dorreous Brooks was taken into custody in Barrow County. Sheriff Judd Smith telling our Cody Alcorn he'll be taken to Walton County to now face murder charges. According to Monroe police, Brooks shot Teonia Stokes on Sunday, and Stokes was pregnant with a baby boy and leaves behind a 2-year-old daughter. Family members say she was a student teaching in Gwinnett County and was set to graduate in May from Kennesaw State. Tonight, only here on 11 Alive, her family is speaking out on what would have been her 23rd birthday.
11 Alive's Cody Alcorn live right now in Monroe. So, Cody, you were invited to a vigil earlier this afternoon, right?
That's right, Ron and Jennifer. It was over in Social Circle, Tonia's hometown, which is about 17 miles from Monroe here in Walton County. Now, one person you will notice missing is Tonia's mother. Today at the funeral home, the heartbreak was too much, and she has since been hospitalized.
She was full of hope. She was full of life. She was full of promise. And all she wanted on this earth was to be loved.
Teonia Stokes.
Such a sweet person.
A daughter.
We ain't got her here in body, but in soul and spirit, she's still with us.
A sister.
She was always there for each one of us.
And a mother.
She was proud of a girl that she already got, and we're going to miss her.
T, as her family calls her, was expecting a baby boy in April.
No, she didn't have a name, and that's what we were talking about, like, what name should we come up with? I know she did want the name to start with a K, because her little girl, Cambry, starts with a K.
On January 25th, T was shot along GW Carver Drive in Monroe.
My sister didn't deserve this.
Killed just 2 days before her birthday.
So we were making funeral arrangements on her birthday.
On Tuesday, instead of celebrating with T, her family held a vigil. to honor 2 lives taken too soon.
She lit up the room everywhere she went,
including the classroom. T was just months away from getting her teaching degree at Kennesaw State.
The world didn't get a chance to see what she was going to offer. She loved children. The kids that she left behind at Tequila Elementary, I know they're devastated.
This family also obviously devastated, and to show you how far her impact reached, even people from the bank where Tionia banked at reached out to me during this whole process and said she lit up every time she came through the drive-thru. Live in Monroe, Cody Alcorn, 11 Alive News.
Man, our hearts go out to that family. Cody, thank you. By the way, folks, we should also mention there was a 25-year-old man who was also shot, but he survived. And as of tonight, police have not released a motive behind this shooting.
The judge looked at the evidence, looked at the charges, and said no. Bail denied. Dorreous Brooks is staying behind bars until this case is resolved. And honestly, that decision brought Tionia's family some small measure of relief. At least they know he's not walking around free while they're planning a funeral and trying to figure out how to explain to a 2-year-old girl why her mommy isn't coming home. Brooks is scheduled to return to court in March 2026. That's when we'll likely hear more about the evidence, about what exactly happened that night, and about why Tionia ended up paying the ultimate price for someone else's conflict. But right now, as I'm recording this, the case is still in its early stages. No trial date has been set yet. We're still in the preliminary hearings phase where lawyers are going back and forth, and the prosecution is building their case. Meanwhile, Tionia's community came together to remember her. They held a vigil at Friendship Park in Social Circle, her hometown. People who knew her, people who loved her, even people who had never met her but were touched by her story, they all showed up. They lit candles not just for Tionia, but for her unborn son too. 2 lives lost in one senseless act of violence. And here's what gets me about this whole thing. Tionia was so close to everything she'd worked for. She was months away from her teaching degree. Months away from holding her baby boy. Her daughter Cambry was about to become a big sister. Can you imagine what that little girl is going through right now? She's 2 years old. How do you explain to a 2-year-old that mommy's not coming back? That the baby brother she was excited to meet is never going to be born? Tionia's family has said they're committed to fighting for justice. They want answers. They want accountability. They want to make sure that whoever is responsible for taking Tionia and her baby away from this world faces the full consequences of their actions. And honestly, can you blame them? When you lose someone like that, especially someone who is completely innocent, you need justice. You need to know that their life mattered, that their death wasn't just another statistic. So here's what I want you to think about. How does someone get caught up in violence that has nothing to do with them? How do we live in a world where a pregnant college student can be killed in her own home because of somebody else's beef? And what does it say about us as a society that this keeps happening? That innocent people keep dying because they were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. These are the conversations we need to be having. Because Teonia Stokes deserved better. Her baby boy deserved better. Cambry deserved to grow up with her mother. If this case touched you, if you want to see justice for Tionia and her unborn son, make sure you're subscribed to Midnight Crime. Hit that notification bell because as this case moves through the court system, as we get closer to trial, I'll be bringing you every update. Share this video. Let people know Tionia's name. Let people know her story. Because the more we talk about these cases, the more we demand justice, the harder it becomes for people to forget. Rest in peace, Teonia Stokes and baby boy. Your story will not be forgotten.